Yeah, your semi-auto las carbine blasts a series of holes into this screen.
So Steven, he looks in on this thing, and he uncovers that there's been corruption in a Space Marine chapter. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily that there's been corruption inside of a Space Marine.
He's talking about the idea of essentially gene sire engineering of like the holy gene sequencing of an Adeptus Astartes, which, like in the 40k universe, is treated as the God Emperor's kind of proudest work.
It's
like
the seed of the Primarch.
Essentially, yeah. Even like the consideration of meddling with something like that is considered Dark Heresy. It's definitely not a good thing. In fact, the fact that Victus has even seen it, I should probably just shoot him through the head right now.
He is literally sobbing on the floor right now.
Oh no, not...
I will execute him. I'm going to shoot him through the head.
Okay, this is point blank, so you get plus 30 to your shot. I'm giving you a minus 20 for being so shaken, so you get a plus 10 total.
Good job on the math, real quick.
Thanks. I know that's tricky.
You missed a point blank shot as well.
Yep. So you
I just saw Dark
the
Heresy.
trigger.
You didn't have an excuse. You were right behind the guy with a shotgun. What the hell is wrong with you?
I don't have any excuse. You're absolutely right.
And
he was still dancing. He was still dancing.
Alright, fine. I'll take a plasma torch to the guy's face then.
Goodness gracious. Roll 1d10, Engelbart.
Oh, Victor.
Okay, you gain 7 corruption points.
Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Can I burn a fate point to re-roll that?
No, because it's not a test.
Oh.
Yep.
Alright. Well, I've at least scoured out the guy's eyes, right? That should help.
Yes, you can take your plasma cutter and attempt to burn out his eyes. That would be a called shot melee attack against his head. So that's at a minus 20.
Himself, though, or?
No, he's sobbing on the floor in a gibbering mess.
There's some bonuses, I would imagine, right? It's easier to grab a guy that's not fighting.
You'd think so. He's not moving. He's right there.
What say you, Steven?
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So make it a normal attack. Awesome.
God damn it! I execute you in the name of the Emperor. I'm gonna blowtorch your eyes. Will you hold still? The guy's on the ground just crying, and he's like...
I have a feeling I just set the room on fire, actually, accidentally, and I think that's probably okay.
Something bad's gonna happen for that.
Engelbart, do you want this man to die?
Yes, he must die. Are you
All
kidding
right.
me?
All right, roll another D100 for a try to step on him.
You manage to execute him after some time.
The guy's just crying, and he's like, "I'll throw this grenade at you."
He's completely oblivious to what's happening
Can you go
around
over by
him.
the grenade real quick? God damn it!
Yeah. So Victus lies in the floor in a pool of his own blood. The data bank for the Mortician's room has been completely destroyed through various plasma torch applications and las fire attacks. So, yeah, mark yourself down with +7 corruption. The way this works is for every 10 corruption points you gain, you have to test willpower to see if your corruption has manifested as literal damage to your body and soul. And there's a whole page of delightful malignancies that you could potentially gain as a result of being corrupted.
Do you ever shave corruption points at all?
Corruption points, and I'll have to double check this. I think you can burn off insanity. You can never get rid of corruption.
Okay.
Damn. Okay.
Well, it was a couple of ways and means, but they were pretty damn special.
Yeah. There might be a way. I'll take another look through the chapter on corruption.
One of them was not to kill Victor.
No, that was holy. You kidding me? Executed him in the name of the Emperor. I couldn't allow him to live with what he'd seen.
He had seen some very, as far as the Imperium is concerned, some very heretical stuff. So, as in your role as an inquisitorial acolyte and in your role as a tech priest, probably you did the best thing.
Yeah, it's massive tech heresy as well. There's no way an Astartes adept would allow him to... a Mechanicus adept would actually allow him to live through that.
So, R.I.P. in peace, Victus. Okay, shall we sleep the night and see what happens the next morning?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. The night passes uneventfully. Fricks, you have yet again this recurring dream about this mouth below you. You're floating in darkness above it, except now this time when you look down, the mouth is already partly open, and it opens a little bit further, and this long serpentine tongue starts snaking up out of it. And you get this really weird sense, Fricks, that you're not you in this dream. That you're actually someone else. But you don't get any more sense of it than that when you wake up bright and early the next morning. So,
am I mean this feeling, like can I like see
It is
my
a sensual
physical
feeling.
self?
Yep.
Yes,
can
already
you see it in what?
Can I am I seeing I feel like I'm not me, but am I actually seeing like a physical manifestation of myself, or is it in this dream?
It's a first-person dream, right? You're there floating above this giant
So it's a badly
maw.
designed first-person dream where I can't actually see my body?
It's a dream.
Okay.
You sort of know it the way you know things in dreams.
Right.
Yeah. And that's all. And
I see
Engelbart,
the tongue, and
yes,
okay.
you see this tongue sinewing up through the air towards you. Engelbart, you also have some very disturbing dreams that night of, massive monster men with 7 arms sort of stomping on you as you try to run away. But other than that, the night does pass uneventfully. Dawn comes early. The glow globes brighten to a daytime working level. And the 4 of you meet out in front of House Phaedrus. Is that where you guys decided you were going to catch up with each other?
Yeah, I said the courtyard the day prior, so I assume.
Okay. You all meet up, and Karna Phaedrus meets up out there as well. She's wearing a light flak coat, so it's sort of this button-up thing that buttons up to the collar, covers her arms and legs fully. It's sort of this long, flowing thing, but it's built out of flak armor, so you can tell that it can stop, a decent portion of damage from a gunfire or a stray knife, for example. And she's got under her arm, she's got a long las rifle, and at her hip, there's actually a small weapon with a bulb on the front that sort of sloshes as she moves. It looks like maybe some kind of a hand flamer. She sort of claps her hands and she says, "Well, now we're just waiting for our 2 friends." And as the 4 of you or 5 of you stand around chatting, up walks Fricks, escorted by Lupus, the old man that you were dancing with at the ball. And he smiles at you brightly and he says, Fricks!
Taco Bell, for people that don't remember. Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Rat tacos, yes, I remember you, my dear. How are you this fine, fine morning?
I reluctantly, sort of looking away, say I'm just fine.
Just fine.
Karna Phaedrus walks up to him and she says, "Oh, my dear, it's so good to see you. Thank you for coming on such short notice. I just knew Fricks would die if you weren't here." And he says, "Oh, well, I wouldn't have missed it for the world." And she turns to you and she says, "Fricks, dear, I don't know if he ever presented himself the other night. He can be so forgetful when he's drunk. This is Arl Thalia. He is a nobleman who runs a lower hive industrial block. He is a most sincere fan of yours."
I'm sorry.
He's
What's his name again?
Arl, A-R-L. And he sketches a very courtly bow in your direction, and he says, "My dear, your dancing was impeccable." And, maybe in his mind it was. Who knows what this guy thinks of dancing. As you 2 are standing around awkwardly getting reacquainted, Lupus brings another man forwards. He's tall, he's got dark brown hair, and a thick black beard covers the bottom of his face.
The beard.
Yes. He walks up, and Lupus introduces him to the rest of you as Cortez Barboza. And he's not wearing a light flak coat. He looks like he's just wearing street clothes, basically noble street clothes. So a very fancy button-up shirt and a coat that keeps him quite well covered. He also has a long las rifle strapped across his back.
Gotcha.
Matron Phaedrus looks around and claps her hands and says, "Well, let's be off then, shall we?"
Yes.
We'll follow you.
Before we depart, certainly we have some gear that we're going to be issued for the hunt, right?
Yes.
Just our standard. What do we have?
Karna claps her hands again and she says, yes, of course. I want to make sure that you're well you're well provided for. We will bring out a series of weapons and armor. And so she dispatches Lupus into the house, and he brings out a trunk that he's carrying. Looks pretty heavy. Looks like he's having a little bit of trouble with it, but he's a pretty strong guy. He sets it down, opens it up, and in the top half there are 4 long las rifles, and in the bottom half there's a pile of light flak armor. So it's basically exactly the same.
Can I give
the same kind of stuff.
Please?
Sorry?
Can I give a quick shout out?
That's ridiculous.
Yes.
Link's life in the chat says, "You best start believing in heretical stories, boys. You're in one," says Barbosa.
That's awesome.
The worst joke ever, but pretty funny.
It's amazing.
That's a line. I'll give him that.
You're in one. God damn it. All right, thank you. Sorry, continue.
I'm gonna yell, need before greed, and then I'm gonna take a flak jacket and a las carbine.
Okay. Are you wearing your Xeno mesh?
Yeah, you've
Oh,
got
yeah.
incredible.
Why would you want flak then?
I don't know that your flak jacket's gonna do much for you.
I wasn't gonna put it on. I was just
Thinking
gonna
about
take
selling it.
Are you just going to
Aha.
steal it?
So when you said need before greed, what you actually meant was greed before need.
No,
Yeah,
what I said
yeah,
was
okay,
perfectly
right.
I was
It's just
don't know.
deceiving us.
maybe let me go back a second. I was specifically looking over at Jax when I yelled "need before greed," and then I grabbed my stuff.
All right, okay.
I take some extra shotgun shells, and then I take all of the gelt that was on there as well, which is, I think it was it 200, 240?
Oh, you're close. It was actually 0.
Damn it! Curses!
Why there'd be a pile of money in the trunk?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot your guys' gear. It's just
Isn't that what
random money.
happens when you open chests? I've been trained for this.
No,
Some of
I
the D&D nonsense.
just take a little bit of shotgun shells, and I'm good. Load
Yeah.
it up.
There's a selection of ammunition you can basically all refill.
Any grenades in there?
There are no grenades.
How disappointing.
These long las rifles, is anybody going to take one?
Oh, the sniper ones? Sniper variant?
Yeah, basically they are a sniper variant of a las gun.
I don't believe I'm proficient in
I'll
those.
stick
so I
with
don't
my
wanna take
carbine, I think. More familiar with it.
Okay.
If I can miss with a shotgun, I'm terrified of the idea of grabbing a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, so you set off and you start making your way down through the hives, led by Karna, who, like every access point that she comes to, she just takes out her noble identification, waves it in front of a face, and then the way just parts for you immediately. Yeah, so you end up breaking down into you get to like a service elevator that looks really quite rickety, and you've been going down and down. You actually end up inside of Arl Thalia's industrial block, and he's sort of puttering along, talking to Fricks about how all of this is his, and how over there is the foundry where they smelt the iron, and over here is the steel forge where they forge the girders, and all sorts of stuff. And you can see a number of workers scurrying around and attending to their tasks. And these people are no longer attractive or clean. like they're kind of mostly wearing rags, and many of them have like horrible burn scars on either their arms or their faces. Fricks, would you make a perception test, please?
I got 100 already up.
Yeah, okay. He's droning on. You don't really notice too much out of the ordinary. And he brings you down a couple side passageways and to this rickety service elevator, and he says, "Well, here we are. Let's head down into the underhive. Does everybody have their weapons?" And he pulls out his own his long las, and he checks the charge on the charge pack, slaps it back in place. He looks incredibly excited. Karna Phaedrus checks her hand flamer. She checks her her long las. She affirms she's ready to go.
I pull out my las carbine, start whooping in binary cant and shooting into the air.
Excellent.
Actually, it's important to note that Ingobart meant to shoot directly into the head of someone, but was actually just shooting in the air.
Arms straight up. Yes.
You're just so happy that now that's my reputation and not yours.
I'm trying. I'm selling it hard, man. I need this to fly.
Maybe it's becoming the group's reputation. I don't
No,
know.
no. I want a shooting competition.
That's
my
true.
reputation.
Against
You want a fair... Okay. And I just put some shells in the shotgun and kind of wear it across the arm, and I got a low stick sticking out of my mouth, and that's all.
Good.
What does Cortez
all right, yeah,
do?
You climb into the service elevator, and Arl begins cranking a huge winch on the side, and the elevator judders into motion and starts descending down into the depths of the hive. The trip takes like 10 minutes, and as you're going down, Cortez Barboza sidles up to Eli, and he says, "So, Eli, what kind of game do you enjoy hunting, then?"
Fuck. How do I want to answer this?
Eli flips back his dark hair, thumbs through his poem book, and says, "The best kind."
I turn to him and say, anything that needs to die.
He says, you're a guardsman then.
I say, sure, yeah, guardsman.
Well, in my kind of work, I need a couple good guardsmen. Not that I'm soliciting or anything. I have a quite sturdy crew that see to my vessel and my person. Yes. How long have you been in the personal protection business, Eli?
I'm kind of just rolling my eyes and be like, about 2 years.
Young buck. Why, I've been in the merchant business for 40. Yes, it's been quite a ride.
I ask him, what type of trade are you in, Mr. Barbosa, or Mr. Cortez?
Barboza.
I know, I say Mr. Cortez, though.
Oh, good. He says, please, just Cortez is fine. It's fine. I am a merchant who specializes in the transport and sale of bio-waste. Yes, when all the inhabitants down here, and he sort of gestures around, you can actually see out of this cage that you're descending into like one of these underhive levels. There's like people running back and forth and sort of like screaming at each other. There's just noise coming from everywhere. There's people like cooking what looks like some form of meat over bonfires built out of trash. There's like shanty towns sort of set up against any wall that's available. And he gestures around. He says, "These people, when they die, they have to go somewhere, don't they?" And he sort of chuckles to himself. Oh yes, they do.
I say, you make very many enemies in your trade?
And he says, "Well, no, not at all. The bio-waste from the reclamation vats, generally once the corpse has been deposited in the vat and all of the useful products rendered out of it, the corpses and the wastes are delivered to me, and then I ship them from any number of star systems to the few cemetery worlds. So you see, my work is actually, I would like to consider it quite a noble one, as I am one of a handful of merchants who have made their living tending to the dead of the Imperium.
I kind of yawn as he's saying that halfway through. I'm like, that sounds great, Mr. Barbosa.
As we're walking, Steven,
Yeah,
I
descending.
I walk. I saddle in next to Fricks, and I say, Fricks, I know typically shooting things is not quite your thing. So if you could hang close, I'm going to help you become better at this, and I'll make you a harder human being.
What do you think of that,
catch
Frick?
my drift, Steven.
Oh, I'm reading you loud and clear, Jeff. So, Fricks, what do you think of this?
I sort of look over to Jax, and I say, Jax, do you know of the warp?
I hear this conversation, and I'm like, Jax, she's a liability, not an asset. Don't you turn her into one.
Don't you
I
turn
overhear
her
this
into one?
conversation and kind of put her in this general direction and said, I heard that you are looking to harden this flesh back. Would you like me to provide some plasteel?
Friends, no, what I meant is Fricks is a very strong warrior, and I plan on making her even stronger. Fricks, you asked about the warp. I'm from the planet of Ketchikan. Am I saying that right, finally?
Catachan.
God damn it! I thought I said that.
Gain 3 corruption points. Extra heretical.
From the planet Catachan, it's very famous for being very close to the eye, actually, and I know a lot about the warp.
I respond, you are right. I might not be the best with the pistol, but what I can pull from the power of the warp, I can be more powerful than any gun that you can wield in your hand. So while I will accept you trying to make me better, just always know that the warp is more powerful than anything that you can imagine.
It's a liability.
Cortez actually, he turns to Eli and says, "Oh, Eli, I agree. The warp is a terrifying, terrifying place."
You basically, just so you know, like inside lore, you were basically like, just so you know, hell is a really, really scary place. And you may have a shotgun, but hell is even scarier.
And I have hell.
So what I'm saying is, everyone, like, that's the boogeyman, man. Like, the warp is, people hate the warp. Like, it's terrifying, and everyone knows about it. So you're like,
Yeah.
the warp's a pretty scary place.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Jax. And Jax is like, listen, bitch, I'm 33. I know what the warp does. I fought a monster twice as tall as a building one time. It's fucking terrifying. Like,
Just start patting Jax on the back, and I say, it's okay. I won't tell anyone when you shat your pants when you saw the mutant.
Oh my God.
and then that's kind of done. But I will stay close to Jax.
I look oddly at Jax and then release a small puff of incense in the direction.
I don't think this will ever get old. My favorite thing is just the idea of like,
Yeah.
see something interesting and just like wrinkles his like fucking Vox nose or whatever, and just goes.
Deploy the Emperor's holy Febreze.
Wow. Well, now that the entire lift has been sufficiently fumigated, Carnophaedrus is sort of like coughing to herself very demurely. And Cortez is actually covering his mouth and nose. He mutters to Eli, "Oh, Eli, I thought the waste smelled bad."
You haven't met my friend Engelbart.
Well, I'm glad not to. And the lift shudders to a halt on the very floor of the distance that it travels, and the gates. Arlthalia actually pulls the gates open. He turns to Fricks and he says, "My lady, after you."
What? Oh, go ahead, Fritz.
I'm not really comfortable about leading the charge here, but I'll just go ahead and step off the lift.
You go ahead,
All right.
Fricks. I'm right behind you. I've
Steven,
got
what
your
am-
back.
Okay.
What do we see in front of us? Like, what does this open up into?
Yeah, Karna steps off next to you, Fricks. You look out, and it's very dimly lit, sort of almost more by fires. There's like one or two sort of broken molten metal globes hanging here and there. The ceiling is kind of low from what you're used to. It's probably 30 feet high. It's very irregular. There's like girders and stuff jutting off of it. As you stand and sort of look around in the direction that you're facing, you actually see a huge chunk of concrete in the distance come loose from the corner of sort of a concrete structure and just collapse onto the floor. It looks like if you were to compare it to the places that you've been, it almost looks like what you're in is in some sort of a thoroughfare. And if this is a road, then all along the sides there's like shanty towns built up and sort of almost built on top of each other. There's like 2 or 3 layers of sort of corrugated steel
Populated?
shacks. Yes, and there are people sort of standing around, and they sort of look at you, and then they immediately look away as soon as they see any of you looking at them. And these people are just like, they've got like cloaks wrapped around them, but not good cloaks. Like they almost look more like unfinished skins, not even leather, just like unfinished skin wrapped around them. And they're all sort of warming themselves by, trash bins filled with burning trash. There's a thick smoke that hangs in the air, sort of like for the upper 10 feet of this territory. And you can actually see a large current of air blowing through the middle of this smoke. You can see it all billowing and rolling along. But other than that, the environment is very cold. So you're all quite glad for the extra clothing that you're all wearing. And you can see the people that have attended with you, Karna and Arl, both sort of draw their light flat coat closer around them.
Just like that, Steven, Fricks begins to pull her like cloak closer, and I put my hand on her shoulder and say, "It'll make you tougher."
Yeah, so Arl leads you down this sort of thoroughfare, and he gets to sort of this alleyway, and he says, "This is where we've had the most reports of the slag rats."
So as he says that, Steven, I'm kind of like looking through. I would assume we have our hunting, like our weapons in hand, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of like looking through the scope of my hunting rifle down this pathway.
Yeah.
And I shout out, "There's one right there," and I start running towards it.
All right. Yeah, you start running. What do the rest of you do?
I stay with Fricks to make sure that she is taking this well.
Okay. All right. Fricks, how are you taking this?
I mean, I guess I just ready my las pistol if I'm not really sure what's going on at this point. So yes.
Okay. Karna sort of looks
recite
around.
the litany of aiming.
Good. Karna sort of looks around, and she doesn't really react. She's kind of confused. Arl Thalia shouts a whoop, and he points his gun in the air and fires off a couple shots, and he goes running after you, Eli.
Okay. What does Cortez do?
Arl feeling.
Cortez is he's also kind of surprised. He doesn't see anything. He doesn't seem to be reacting. He's hanging back with the rest of the crew.
Okay.
So where are you going?
I'm running down the hall and being like, "I saw it right there, you bastards. There was one down here."
All right. The hall is it's actually sloped. You're digging down even deeper into the earth, and you can tell you're actually running over like bedrock. This isn't a constructed surface that you're running on, but actually something that people dug out of the planet.
Okay.
And Arthalia is sort of like keeping up right behind you. He starts wheezing. He says, "Wait, Eli, I don't see anything. What are you doing?"
I look down. I kind of put up my scope back up to my eye, and aim for something that will not hit anything but a wall and take a shot.
All right, you pull the trigger and you fire off. Arl lifts his long las and he sort of scopes down the hall as well. Further down this direction, it gets almost pitch black.
Okay.
There's no lighting down here. Yeah, roll a perception test, Eli.
Okay. My perception is 35. 53.
Nice. Okay, so all of a sudden you hear Arl shout, "There it is!" And he turns and he points his weapon. And there, probably about 15 meters from you, there's this grotesque, pale-looking creature. It almost looks humanoid. It's down on all fours, and it's pale, hairless. There's no tail, but its face is like rat-like. It's
a
long. It's long. It's got these vicious-looking teeth in its mouth. Arl Thalia, let's see here. I need to bring you guys over to this new place here.
If you want, you can make this during the break so you don't have to draw it.
Yeah, I will go ahead and do that. Let's take that quick break for 3 minutes. I'll draw this up for you guys, and when we come back, we'll see how the situation unfolds.
Perfect. That is the end of hour 2, guys. We got 2 more hours coming up of Dark Heresy. Thanks, everyone, for watching here on the Saturday afternoon. We'll see you guys in 3 minutes.